guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Well, This Went Down. First of all, sorry for some grammar mistakes. English is not my first language, but hey, I try my best, right? This story happened around a week ago and we had a chill business meeting at a local restaurant. I hate really tight-up meetings, so I prefer it over a nice enjoyable lunch with my coworker and one of my trainee. It was supposed to be a nice chat with an applicant, no private info shared or anything like that. Just to get to know each other. A little back info. I work for a small local game developer and I've been on the lookout for a front-of-the-desk person to help me out with some stuff. I work as a senior PR manager. I'm 28 years old, while my coworker, 58 years old, is my so-called junior PR manager. We switched positions because he's a somehow stone-cold numbers maniac, while I'm more into marketing strategies and into gaming as well. So I have more to offer while he's my strong experienced backup. We laugh about it and basically get paid the same amount, but in serious situations, I give the calls. Back to the story. I already spent a few interviews with some candidates and thought this one is going to easy as well, since none poked my interest. My coworker and trainee already arrived and sat in the back of the restaurant while I still had time to grab a smoke outside. Since it was still a business meeting, I was wearing my black jeans and a white shirt while the staff of the restaurant was wearing black jeans and a green polo shirt with the restaurant's logo on it, so the idea of getting mistaken for a staff never hit my mind. After I finished my smoke, an elderly couple came by, and since I was raised to be good person, I hold the door open for them. A nice little thanks and a little chat about the weather, some little chat that took like 20 seconds. But then it hit me. The popularity of Karens in Germany weren't that high, so it was only an internet myth to laugh about for me. But finally in 2022 I encountered my first wild Karen. Karen. Hey boy, hold the door. Me. Wait, what? Karen. I said hold the damn door, can't you hear? I have an important meeting here. It took me a few seconds to realize what's happening. I think it's like in the military or police training. The internet prepared me for it, but when it hits you, you aren't prepared enough. Karen. Throws me her jacket and stomps through the half-opened door. Can't you do anything right? Me. Did you hit your head somewhere or just ducked up? I was raised to be good boy, but somehow after leaving my parents' house I kinda short-ended my fuse, even if would have worked there. The shock on her face was perfect. Like listening to a song that just hits right. Karen. How dare you? Let's see what your boss thinks about this. She huffs into the restaurant and rushes to the counter. She grabbed the waitress waiting at the bar. Karen. You need to educate your staff. This kid, thanks to my Asian genes I may not look that old, but I still have fine trimmed beard, just dropped my jacket. What kind of service is this? Get his act together and bring me a coffee. The waitress was stunned and I couldn't blame her. In our area was this a rare right? I gestured here to be calm behind Karen's back and smiled at her so she can relax a little bit. Karen stormed off into the back for her relaxed interview while I tried to comfort the waitress. After a few moments she got herself back together and looked at me while told her to hand me her coffee and explained to her that she's with me. When the coffee was done I grabbed the saucer and coffee, put on my friendliest smile and went back to my meeting. When my coworkers saw me, they greeted me back while Karen fixated me with her best death stare she could put on while trying her best to make a good impression on my coworkers since she's the one being interviewed. Her face went from almost red to a pale white when I sat down in front of her, keeping her, so-called ordered, coffee for myself. I almost couldn't hold my laugh when she realized who I was and she just crashed her interview down the pipe. She left as fast as she could and me and my coworkers had a laugh when I told them what happened. We had a nice chat and since this meeting on the clock, we took our time and I paid for the lunch out of my own pocket. It was totally worth it. The next story is titled Typical I Don't Work Here Lady. After getting out of work, I picked my hubby and we went to Walmart. I'm a medical assistant, so I was still in my scrubs. You would think there is no way I could possibly have an I don't work here story, but guess again. I'm 40, and my hubby is just a few years older than me but suffers from heart failure. He was having a bad day, so he was using one of the electric carts. I had my own shopping cart. We were in the electronics department and I was looking at charging wires for our cell phones. My back was towards the main aisle and my hubby was facing the aisle but looking at me. We were talking and I heard from behind me a loud, "Excuse me." We both ignored this and continued talking about what to get. After a few seconds, we hear an even louder, "Excuse me." At this point, I turn around wondering what's going on, and there is a woman in the main aisle looking at me, and as soon as I turn around, she yells over at me, "Where are the shoes?" Out of pure mind-blown shock, I'm respond, "What?" sounding quite confused that someone is yelling at me like that. And she again yells louder and also very much accentuated, "Where are the shoes?" Now I know the store, been there plenty of times, and we were just a few aisles away from the shoes, but I was so put off with how she was already yelling and clearly demanding I answer her, that I just respond with a simple, "I don't know, oh yeah." You know that's not where it ended. She picks up her foot, and starts pointing at it and yells, "Shoes." Like I don't understand what shoes are. "Wow lady." To which I respond, "I don't know." After a second of looking at her getting more pissed, I realize that she really doesn't get it, so I add in the famous, "I don't work here." She makes a loud humph noise, shakes her head, pissed off, and angrily storms away, right in the direction of the shoes. My hubby and I look at each in disbelief. I even said it to him, "I'm in scrubs. How the hell can someone mistake scrubs for a Walmart uniform? Really people?" And no, there weren't even blue. I was in these bright, fluorescentish color pink and black scrubs. The next story is titled "Neighbor Had My Brother's Car Towed, on Our Property." I'm pretty pissed because this happened just a few hours ago. Anyway, to set the stage's players, me, my neighbor, who from here on in will be referred to as Nosy Old Bat, Knob for short, and yes she's an entitled boomer, her husband, nice neighbor, my brother, mentioned rather than involved, and my grandmother. For some backstory, Knob and I both live on corner houses next to a busy street, which is relevant to the story. And oh man is this lady bordering on r/insane people level of crazy and nosy, because oh my god she's nuts. I have lived in this house my entire life with my grandmother. I'm 28 and where I live it's hard to live on your own. Especially in the pandemic going on now and being temporarily out of work, because finding work that's disabled accommodating is a pain. Especially when you have asthma and people are paranoid that an asthmatic has COVID. I get it, but it's tiring to explain that no I don't have the virus. I have asthma and I can't infect anyone with my bad lungs. And Knob used to watch me for a little bit when I was 6 until my aunt could pick me up to babysit me. This apparently has given her the mindset that she can attempt to control my life and tattle on me to my grandmother, who nowadays knows when I have company, and if a friend parks in the driveway, I call or text her to let her know and ask her to let me know when she'll be home so I can tell my friend they need to move their car unless grandma tells me that it's fine and she'll park on the side of the street, which she does occasionally even if there's no one in the driveway. A non-issue, right? Not to Knob. She's been known to get up in my business to go and knock on my door and demand to know who's there and if I'm doing the nasty with those friends. I'm asexual, so it's hilarious to me when people ask if I'm sleeping around, but it's infuriating when Knob asks this because she's nosy AF and thinks she practically owns the neighborhood due to the aforementioned corner houses and acts as if this is an wah. It's not, thank everything, and she's in charge, as should we be because of our house on the other corner. She makes calls on other people's behalves constantly. We're no different. Anyway, dressing the stage aside, the story of the title. Alright, so my little brother is a Marine and is currently deployed in Hawaii, and his car has been on our property for a while now because, well, he can't come and drive it since he's in Hawaii. This apparently gives her the idea to call a tow truck because it hasn't been moved since he left it. It's not even a terrible looking car either, but I guess it pissed her off that it was sitting there due to it being a car she didn't know. My grandmother's now dead truck has been there longer, but Knob knows whose it is because she's seen her drive it. This happened between the time my grandmother and I left for Costco and the time we got home. Knob called the towing company to tow my brother's car because, in her batty old boomer logic after my grandmother went over to her house to confront her, it's been there for over 2 weeks and is just sitting there. On our property. Not hurting anything. He husband, nice neighbor, as crotchety as he can be, was unaware his wife did this because he likely wasn't home, so he'd said that he wasn't sure when he talked to us. So now my grandmother has to call the police and the towing company to get the car back, and she is rightfully furious, as am I, about this because it means another towing fee that was completely unnecessary. She can't even get it until tomorrow because nothing is even open. She was met with voicemails of the towing not even being open either, which was bizarre before 7 p.m. but whatever, I don't know the towing hours since we haven't had to deal with that before. I absolutely hate Knob with a seething and unholy passion because this isn't the first time she's attempted this garbage either. She's done this on other neighbors because she thinks she can police the neighborhood because of her corner house logic. I do not care how rude this makes me, but I will not be paying that towing fee and I will not be letting my grandmother pay it. Knob will be paying that because it was none of her business to be nosing her old face into things. I don't care if you're old, you do not stick your nose in someone else's business and life. Especially if the thing in question is on someone else's property. I will take this woman to court if she refuses to pay for this because she had no right to do this. I mean, what was my brother supposed to do? Be all like, oh hey guys, it's been 2 weeks, let me go back to my grandmother's and drive my car around the block, I'll be back on Monday with all the flights. TCH. Yeah, as if his CO would allow for that just because of Knob. I'll give updates if anything further happens, because yay. I'm furious and don't really care if the old woman doesn't want to pay it, she will or face court for her nosiness. The next story is titled I Don't Work Here, But You Seem Nice. I was at the grocery store with my BF shopping for the whole week. As I am browsing the aisles, a sweet old lady walked up to me and asked if I knew where item X that she needed for cooking a new recipe is. Now, I have never used that item X myself and had no idea where it was. I'm the kind of person that will go out of my way to help someone if they are acting nice, but if someone is rude I will never even lift a finger for them. So, since this lady was being sweet and nice, I tell her, sorry, I don't know what this item would be located, but let me call over my BF. He works as a chef so he might have a better idea. I call him over and ask if he knows where item X is and he doesn't know either. The sweet old lady thanks us anyway and left the aisle. Now, my BF doesn't give up that easy, and while I continue shopping his main task is to find item X. After 2 minutes he comes to find me and says, I found item X. It's with the Asian food products, so the next minute we both run around the store looking for sweet old lady. We found her and shows her where item X was. She was very happy and thanked us over and over. We said it was not a problem and we were happy to help. When we left the store we felt like everyday heroes. The next story is titled Just cause the word supervisor is on my shirt doesn't mean I work here. This happened the other day. I was at a local store and a Karen was giving the cashier a hard time about a coupon. I guess the coupon was a specific store coupon and it wasn't for the store we were at. Karen is doing her Karen thing and spots me 2 people in line behind her. She starts yelling at me to tell the cashier to let her use her coupon. Karen, you there, tell this hussy to override the system so I can use this coupon. Me confused, are you talking to me? Karen, are you all stupid here? Yes, tell her. Me, I could, but it won't do any good as I have no authority over her. Karen, you're her supervisor, you can tell her to do it. Me, ma'am, I don't work here. Karen, of course you do. It says so on your shirt. Me, ma'am, just because my shirt says, crap show supervisor, doesn't mean I work here. I actually supervise different crap shows. Karen, of course it does. Why would it say supervisor if you don't work here? Me blank stare. You can't possibly think. Karen finally registers how stupid she sounds. Fine. And she huffs away without her stuff. Not the greatest story, but I never thought when I bought a shirt that says, crap show supervisor, anyone would take it to mean I worked at whatever store I was in. The next story is titled I did say that, didn't I? I was working as the network admin for a small chemical company in the Philadelphia suburbs. Being the only competent IT person, I also did desk-side support, hardware and software upgrades including virus protection and removal. I did my job competently, had a good relation with the users, but did not brag, so when the company was cutting costs, my job was cut to part-time. They were going to function without a network admin for a while because they thought the network could run smoothly by itself. I parted ways because I needed a full-time job with a full-time salary. 3 months later, I was home sending out resumes in my housecoat, and the phone rings. It was 2 former coworkers, let's just call them Laverne and Shirley. Hi, started off the conversation. I responded. We had a hard time finding your phone number, they said. Okay, I said, not having a clue where this was going. We have a virus on our computers. I said okay again and asked if they had called Bruce, my former boss, the one I had explained to that network admin as a full-time job. He's traveling to another state, and can't be reached. I asked if they called the clerk in the department who had claimed to be an expert with computers when hired, but proved to be clueless. "She's an idiot," Laverne or Shirley said, and I couldn't disagree. I asked if they realized that I didn't work there anymore. I thought this was a reasonable question. They said yes, but pointed out that I had told them when there was a virus on their computer, they should call me and not try to remove it themselves. A virus hides in several different places and average users can mess up doing DIY removal. These girls had always been nice to me and I couldn't think of a good counter-argument. I talked them through how to remove their virus and made a note to myself. If I ever told users to call me, I would add, if I still am employed by the company. The next story is titled Sorry Lady, This Is My Flat Not a Salon. So a little bit of backstory. We live in a 2-story building and on the first floor there are a doctor and beauty salons. The second floor are all flats and we live in the one at the very end of a corridor. Onto the story. This happened 10 minutes ago and I am still baffled how someone could mistake my flat for a beauty salon. I am currently on maternity leave with my second child, 6 months, so I am home most of the time. I was breastfeeding her and heard footsteps but wasn't thinking much of it as my husband is also at home. But suddenly an elderly lady stood in our living room and just asked, "Beauty salon?" To say I was confused is an understatement. To get where she passed my sleeping son in his stroller and a complete row of bookshelves as well as a few toys on the floor, so in my opinion there is no way that you can confuse our flat for anything else. But the lady looked confused herself and after I explained that she needs to go a floor down she apologized and made her way out of the flat, but tried to open 2 other doors before finding the right one. By this time my 2 kids were crying so I didn't went after her, but now I am wondering if I should have as she seemed pretty confused to me. This is the second time this happened and I get that it is possible to press the wrong button in an elevator, but normally it isn't hard to differentiate between a beauty salon and a flat door. The next story is titled Dress Nice at a Clothing Store Get Asked for Help. Now I know some of these are either super idioty people or confused people who are good-natured enough to apologize. Mine happens to be the latter. So a few years ago, just before the pandemic, me and my buddies decided to hang out at my local mall and for whatever reason I love to dress nice. Like dress pants, dress shoes, button-up long sleeve shirts and a black vest, even a tie. Now I can't explain this but I just love doing it and for whatever reason it makes me comfortable. Now we were going around the few shops. Let it be known our mall is 1 floor and pretty crappy compared to this other one a few towns over, but it's what we had. After looking we come across a high-end clothing store. Now my buddy Nick liked going into these places and getting new pants and such, but I'm not really into fashionable clothing, just dress clothing, but I was with them and in we go. I was looking at some shirts and found the table where the jeans were kept and I try to always look for my size because it's almost impossible for me to find them in my size. It weird, I know, but whatever. And then this little old lady come up to me asking in slightly broken English. Note she was Asian. If they had in more of a certain size in the back, and I being in retail for many years politely reply after a slightly awkward pause. Me. I'm sorry ma'am, I'm not an employee, but, I point to the guy and girl standing behind the counter, they can help more that I can. She simply nods and give a thanks and off she goes, and I felt odd because it was just sort of weird, but I shrugged it off and my buddies ribbed me for the rest of our day out. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emoji.